hang out, get a drink of water, take off your coat, do whatever. It's all good. Okay, so this was the assignment. Most of you did it. Some of you did not. Get on it. All right, so let's just go through a solution to this, right? I'll do it because this is that's my thing, and I'll use Fiddle for it. I don't think there was any restriction on that. Okay, so I want to walk through a method of programming too that I think is important to get in the habit of doing, and it goes back to week 1. We had that measure twice, cut once, right? If you think about a problem before you do it, there's a better chance that you won't fail miserably. There's a seat over here. Over there? Yeah. I don't know whose jacket. Oh, it's mine. Hey, never mind. All good. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's all good. Yeah, it's just me. Here, I'm going to get stuff out of your way. You good?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. That happened. I'll split it in school. Alright. So, where was I? Oh, yeah. Measuring twice, cutting once. Just basically thinking about stuff before you do it. I know a lot of you are creative types and you don't like to think about stuff before you do it. You just like to start doing things and see what happens. But that is not going to help you here. You really have to think about stuff. So let me show you one handy thing that works for me that I do a lot when I'm kind of stumped on a new problem is writing things in terms of what's called pseudocode. Pseudocode. Do you guys know that word? Pseudo? Pseudo. It means kind of, but not really, right? It's meta code, pseudocode, right? So pseudocode, obviously this is not valid JavaScript. Pseudocode just means describing what the program does in words that are kind of like code, but not really, right? We don't worry about syntax or any of that stuff. We more just worry about getting the ideas out. So with that, do you guys remember what this is here? Anybody?
Commenting out.
Right, yeah, this is the comment block. So nothing in this gets executed, right? Baula. All right, so let's look at our assignment here. It's in code out. Okay, so step 1. Alert a user to enter a number. All right, let's, using our brains, we go, okay, I'm going to alert a user. I know JavaScript has a function, right? We learned it 12 times called alert. Right, okay. So I might be let me go back, look at it. Alert a user to enter a number. So in your pseudocode, you might do this. Now, is this valid JavaScript? Is it? Would this throw an error, or would this be valid? No, right? So just give me one reason why this is not valid. Quotes, exactly. Unless there's 3 variables, and even then it wouldn't work because they'd have to have commas. Yeah, there's no way that this could ever work. This would always fail. So, but it doesn't matter because in pseudocode we're just getting the ideas out, right? Okay, so alert user to enter a number. Second, prompt the user for a number. Here, once again, this is gonna get really annoying. Okay, yeah. So prompt the user for a number. I know the instructions are maybe a little weird. Why are we prompting for them twice? Whatever. Don't ask questions. Or maybe it's better to say I am going to ask you to enter a number. I don't know. You know how hard it is coming up with assignments? Just kidding. Welcome. Something like that. Some people had actually some pretty creative things that I can't remember right now. All right, so that's prompt. All right. Okay, now here we're getting to some logic. So this is where pseudocode's actually helpful. Those last 2 examples, maybe not so helpful. All right. So if the user enters a number, alert the square of that number to the user. Okay. So if the user enters a number. What's a way to write that? If a user enters, what if we just write it exactly how I said it? If user enters number, right? If the user enters a number, right? Okay, boil it down to its essence, right? If, enters a number, if a number, right? If it's a number, then if the user enters a number, alert. No, is that yeah? Alert the square of that number to the user. Like now, the square. Maybe that was confusing. I probably should have thought of that. Like because there's a square root, right? But then there's a square. I don't know. Once again, mathy. We're just squaring, which means multiply the number by itself, right? Yeah. Okay. So if it's a number, we'll kind of do a fake indent kind of thing. Then what was it? Alert the square root of that number. Alert square of number. Right? Whatever. And then we have our, if the user does not enter a number, not a number, alert a helpful error message. So if it's a number, now we could certainly do another if statement here, but this is kind of like either or. So if it's a number, do this. If it's not a number, we have like a programming term for that we learned, right? It's if else, right? So if it's a number, do this. Otherwise, do this. So we could say else, and what was it? Alert a helpful error message. Like, nah, dog. Something like that, right? So this is our pseudocode. And this, you can kind of see it has like a flow to it. You can read it and be like, oh, I'm going to alert, welcome to ASCII number, prompt for a number. If it's a number, alert, square. Otherwise, alert, no. So let's actually implement this thing, right? I mean, obviously, if I'm going to do it, it's going to be right. So we'll do the welcome thing, right? Let's prompt now. Enter a number. And now I'm using actual syntax, right? Some of you picked up on this. But the prompt function takes a second parameter if you want to. It's optional. And that second parameter is the default value. Did you guys? Some people picked that up. I don't know if you just copied and pasted it from somewhere or if you actually knew what it's doing. But did anybody use it? Who used this? Yeah, right. Okay, cool. So prompt, enter a number, and we'll do a default here. We'll say like 187, right? And we could run this just to make sure. Run. Welcome. Cool. And notice how it has that there, and it already selects it for you, so you can just do like 4 if you want. You don't have to delete it. So that's cool so far. All right, so we've made it to about here. So then here's where I kind of, this is where it's tricky, right? This is probably where you would have had to do research or ask somebody or phone a friend kind of thing. If it's a number, right? Well, first of all, this prompt thing is not being assigned anything, so we're going to create a variable for it. We use the var keyword. I'll use the word number. Some of you had really bad variable names here, like, the letter G. I don't know why, or like just something that made no sense. But like this is a pretty easy example to like, enter a number. What should we call that variable? Number is a good example, right? You could do really anything. Anything but like the letter G is probably good, And also that, no better, right? So number. Did anybody test if like other characters like from other languages work in here? Did anybody try that? No? You guys should try that because I don't know. I don't know if I have I have like Arabic set up. I don't even speak Arabic, but let's try it out. Bam. The character standalone G. Let's see if that works. Run it. Damn. Okay, let's see. Let's alert it. Welcome. 187. 187. It works. That's cool. So this Unicode compliant. So you have no excuse, no matter who you are, for variable names that make no sense. You can literally use anything in here. So that's good. I think, at least. All right, let's not use that variable name because I don't want to have to go back and forth. Anyway, we have our numbers stored. So testing if it's a number. I mean, I'm curious. Anybody who got the solution to this? What was your? How did you find it? You Googled. What'd you Google? Forgot. Probably like JavaScript is tell if numbers, right? Something like that. Like let's JavaScript. Tell if variable is a number. Oh, look, right? Okay, cool. There's this thing. What do we got here? Ooh, that doesn't help. That seems bad. That looks complicated. This is interesting. Best way to do that is using isnan plus typecast. I mean, this is kind of crazy. This works. This, yeah, you could try that. Might work. Sure. Go through. I mean, this is right here is like how programmers figure out problems. Seriously, there's no we don't just know this stuff, right? You literally Google it and you find an answer, you copy it, paste it, try it. If it works, awesome. Remember that for later and keep going. If not, then you just keep trying stuff. Like it's like there's no magic thing here. It's really just Googling. It's half of it is finding out how to ask the question that you're looking for the answer to. That's really it. That's half of it. If you can do that, then you're probably better than most people. Most programmers. Not most people. There's a lot of other things that make you a good person. So let's, I feel like this, I mean, I already know the answer. I'm just going to drive towards it. But this whole isNaN thing is suspiciously, looks like the right thing, right? Especially, big clue here. I have NaN, in the thing, so hopefully you would know. So your next step should really be, okay, I'm going to Google that, bam, I'm going to Google that thing and see what's up. Oh, look, documentation. Darius has already shown me both of these websites, and they're both the top hit. So really, either one of these is probably going to have the right answer. We'll click the first one. Check whether a number is an illegal number. This is one of those things in JavaScript that's so frustrating too. It's why are we checking on the negative case, right? Why isn't there a isNumber function instead of isNotANumber function? Just kind of makes no sense, right? Whatever. I didn't design the language. I just use it. So this looks good. A equals isNaN 123 plus BR. That would be false. Well. That's crazy. All right. Okay. Sure. I'm kind of curious about this one. Let's try it out. It's a different example. Oops. Went ahead of myself. Here we go. All right. Let's try that thing out. Welcome. Blah, blah, blah. Oh. I'm going to log this. Is everybody following me here, or is somebody completely lost right now? Because I realize I'm kind of jumping around. Yeah. False BR? Sure. Okay. Do you guys understand, I don't know, did that make sense? That was kind of a digression. I just was curious what that was putting out. And it outputs, oh. I don't know if you saw it. Oh yeah, false BR up top. 123 is not a number, right? Is not a number. No, it's not a number because it is a number, so it's false. I know it's kind of confusing. You just take it slow, say it in your head a few times, and it'll make sense. So in our pseudocode here, right, we've got if it's a number, so we have to do a little backwards, right? So if is not a number, so if I enter in a correct, like a valid number here, right? If I enter 187 here, what's going to happen? Is this going to execute or not? What do you think? Come on. What do you think? Walk through it. Like let's get rid of the variables. That. Just take it from there. Is 187 not a number? Right? It's very tricky. Anybody else? Chime. So is not a number. 187.
False.
It'd be false, right? Because this function is asking, is this not a number? It's so confusing. I know, because it's asking like the converse, right? So the answer is no, it's not a number. Like 2 negatives make a positive, right? It is a number. So this evaluates to false. So basically, this case is for if it, is a number. Oh, shit, no. This will evaluate to false. So we need our non-number case. Does that make sense? I think I confused myself there briefly for a second. Let's go back to the number. All right. I feel like I lost. I feel like a lull. Okay? Who's got a question? Anybody got a question? Ask me a question. Participation is a part of your grade. Remember?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
The number 69, you have stated a number value, but you didn't write a code to execute this prompt function. So how it can be executed?
Which one? This?
Yeah, you didn't write the prompt to execute this function. You just state the variable. So why
Right.
it can be run?
It's because it's a really good question, and that comes to like the heart of what a function is, right?
Yeah.
So in JavaScript, this prompt, that's the name of a function. That's like a built-in function in JavaScript. But right now, if you were to execute that, that's just the function itself without being executed. Once you put parentheses after it, or not before it, after it, once you put parentheses after it, you've executed that function.
Yeah, but that's just a variable. You create a statement, just a statement, right?
It is a statement, but it also happens, this function executes.
So if I just want to state this variable, I don't want to execute this function. So how should I do it?
You don't want to execute.
I just want to create a variable. I don't want to execute this function.
Yeah, I mean, you could just do, wait a minute, you could just do like, here. Like that, right? Like if you were testing, if I was testing this and I didn't want to have to hit the thing every single time, I would probably do this, right? And that way you could test it really easily.
Because I compute in other type of language.
Yeah.
After you create a variable, you need to have a code to execute this function. Use the variable.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in JavaScript.
JavaScript's a little weird. Thing about JavaScript is that it's actually called a functional programming language, which is kind of like a weird species of programming language. So it just happens that functions like prompt and alert and any function that you create on your own they're trying to not define it with another term that has to be defined, but they're called first-class objects, which means a function is kind of like a string or a number or anything in that it can be assigned to a variable. And not just the value of the function, but even just
I don't need to
the definition of the function.
type a number, but the number parameters to execute the prompt, to execute the number itself.
Oh, no. No, it's because, I mean, when you execute this function, it pulls up that window, And then when you submit that, when you submit the value, this function has a return value, right? Like, are you familiar with return values?
Yeah.
Like how a function might have take input and then it'll return something. So that number that's coming out is just the return value of the function. Does that make sense? Do you want to show me what you mean? Yeah, that's probably easier.
Because in this line,
Yeah.
I've already state a variable, and what I mean is, if I need to do this to execute this variable.
No. You don't have to. No, because the thing is, here's the thing. You only use parentheses to execute a function.
Yeah.
And this isn't a function. Like prompt.
How about if I don't want to it run at this line? I need it to run at this part. How should I do? So I need to state it in this line.
You want to get the number afterwards?
Yeah.
I mean, you can just move it, right?
Just move this line at this.
Yeah,
part.
but you can't use number until it's defined.
But once I state this variable,
Mm-hmm.
it runs automatically.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's not even the variable. Like you don't even need that, right? And this will still run, right? Like this. Watch. We'll just run it, right? Unless there's errors, right? So that's just the empty prompt line right here that's running.
Oh.
So let's just hit OK. And now that's running the welcome line. So we'll hit OK. And now that's running this line.
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
this.
right. But we're just not assigning the value to anything. I mean, you could. Okay, sure. Watch here. You could do something like if you just want it for readability's sake, you could define a function.
Oh, I know.
Right?
Yeah, so I use this to run the function.
Yeah,
I know.
you could do that. Yeah, sure. And that's because of another weird feature of JavaScript called function hoisting that we don't really have to get into right now. But what did I break? Oh, we're using number before it's defined. Duh. Yeah, let's go back to what it was. Back in time. All right. Where was I? Okay. I don't remember. I think I was about here, right? Yeah. Thanks, team. We're all in this together. Okay. I'm going to get rid of this welcome line. I'm sorry. That's just pointless. Okay. Who's with me? No? Jesus Christ. Okay, the whole not a number thing, super confusing, right? But do we get it? Do we get it? Any confusion? Lots of somewhat? Are you not a student? Right? That's the question. Are you not a student? What's the answer to that question? Give me a yes or no answer to that question.
Yes.
Yes, I'm not a student. Always remember to never forget that. Yeah. I mean, that's what I know. It's weird, annoying, and now I've muddied up everything here. But yeah, that's what that line's saying. If you're not a number, is not a number. Wait, is not a number. If number's not a number. Fuck. Oh, let me make it even awesomer and more complicated. Okay. Do you guys know, we haven't really talked about this operator. You remember what an operator is? Operator, like the plus sign or the minus sign, right? Those are arithmetic operators. And then we had comparison operators like greater than. Here's another operator. It's a Boolean operator. And what that does is it negates the expression that follows it. So now what this is saying, is not not a number. Yeah. Does that make more sense or less sense? Is it possible to make less sense? You could really get crazy with this and just do like several of them. Not is not a number. Yes. Wait. I don't know, honestly. Let's stick with the more simple. I mean, this good to know. You'll see it in code a lot, but let's stay away from it. So, if number's not a number, that means it might be a string or a boolean or something like that. So we'll show the helpful error message, right? Nah, dog. Okay. Nah, man. Okay. Else, right? Elsa. What? I just saw Frozen. We alert the square of the number. That should be pretty straightforward. Right? That's that. Is there a more complicated way of doing that? JavaScript math functions. Ooh, the math reference. Math. There's a square root. Anybody see anything? I don't see it. All right, so there's no like more complicated way to do this. Okay, well then that's it. So that's really the gist of the program right there. Programming. Did we even try it? Did I even try this? Enter a number. 8. Yay. Cool. That's it. Wait. What? Oh. What's not defined? Oh, right. Sorry. Oh, one little style point. I noticed. Okay, so a lot of you completed the assignment, but it wasn't perfect, right? Once again, there's a perfect way to do this, right? I think this is pretty perfect right here, except for one thing. All of your files should end in a blank line. That's like a weird thing that comes from like other languages like C++ and stuff, but if you get into this habit, no one will ever be mad at you, and it might save yourself some headaches later. So blank line at the end of files, it's just a good idea. But like, notice things like consistency, right? Like I didn't, you know what I mean? Like I will almost always have a space around the equal sign. It's just looks right. You know, I'm not dropping this thing. I think that looks terrible. Some people like it. Don't submit that stuff to me. Some people like the extra space. I can go either way. Maybe if I were like doing this better, I might have put spaces around that to make that more readable, just like I did here. Once again, like this is just white space. Like it doesn't change the program. It just makes you a better programmer. It just makes you like write better stuff, really. And you know, it's got like a harmony to it. Like I saw some people, not going to name any names, like indenting like that. That's not technically right, and it kind of confuses things too. Like this is the only thing that should be indented in here. So if and the same with the else. I mean, I could see why that mistake was made, and it won't. Once again, it won't affect the program. It's just better style, and style, I think we can all agree, is a good thing to have. Case in point. Okay. I think we're good, right? Any other questions? Does everybody totally get this? Except for that whole weird not a number thing? Sorry about that. Somebody help with the door. Hey, what's up? It's cool. No worries. So, yeah, we're good, right? Yeah? Yeah. I love when people ask me questions. You guys never ask me questions. I want to be asked. I want to be showered with questions all the time. Yeah.
But I can use number equal and then
The word number?
yeah, if I can just use number equal and then
That's a great question. So if we look up the documentation for this isNaN, confusing special case behavior. I actually saw, yeah. It's not possible to rely on the equality operators to determine whether a value is NaN. Like, the answer to your question is basically just because. You know what I mean? It's like, because. Like, yeah, you should be able to do that. Like, I guess the question being asked here is, why can't we just do although in this case it'd be not equals, right? Not equals. You guys, yeah? Get that? Okay. Like, why doesn't that work, right? That should work. If the number is not equal to not a number, or actually, wait. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. If number is not a number, this really reads correctly. Like, this looks right? But unfortunately, you just can't do it. It's just not a thing. There was a thing in here. I looked at this page earlier. There was like a good description of like why. No, that's annoying. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's no good reason. It's just can't. Oh, JavaScript. It's a weird little language. The thing about it, too, is like if you learn JavaScript, I mean, you can't not learn it, too. It's like if you want to do something on the web, like you kind of have to learn it. But it's so weird and has so many quirks to it. The one thing, though, is that when you go to other languages, you're kind of like, oh, all right, this is like sane. It makes sense. It's not crazy and makes no sense like this. So it's nice. And also, you get used to these little things in JavaScript. And so it's people who are new to the language, who come from other programming languages, are always just freaked out by how crazy, like, what? This makes no, why can't I do this? You know, and you're like, well, it's the way it is, man. Like, just learn it, you know? So, yeah, I realized that was kind of a non-answer, but it's a good question. Anybody else? Shower me with questions. It's okay. You don't have to shower me with questions. Okay, anyway, we have, what's that? Oh. Does anybody need this at all? No, right? Gone. Forever. Okay. Poof. Blow out the candle. Alright, where was I? Part of me wants to go back over stuff from last week a little bit, but let's just steam forward and see if you guys are tracking. Here's the thing. I don't just want to talk to a room full of people who don't know what's going on. So if you don't know what's going on, stop me and I'll re-explain it. Okay? Otherwise, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Okay. So let's move on. So last time we talked about let's see, where did we land? We finished on loops, while loop, the for loop. Did we remember this at all vaguely? I think this will make more sense when I go over the next thing because it involves loops. So we did that. Conditions, if, and all that. That was good. Cool. Remember that? That was cool. Little diagram. Spice it up a little bit. Anyway, programming fundamentals. More fun with JavaScript. Fun, see? It's in both places. Yeah. Anyway. So the next thing we're going to learn about is arrays, or are arrays. So like this word, just think about this word, how you might use it like in English, right? You'd be like, oh, that store has a wide array of brushes and erasers, right? If you were in like an art store, right? That store has an array of electronic devices. It's kind of the same thing here. It's an array. It's just a bunch of something, of things. Used for representing a collection of data. These are all valid arrays, right? So let's look at these individually. Bar, colors. Notice that there's an array variable doesn't look any different from a string or a boolean or anything else. It's the same. It's just words, right? Same naming rules too. You can't use like periods in it or anything. It's just that. And then the way we assign an array, it's pretty much the same up until the bracket, right? Up until this bracket thing, it's just a regular variable. So what we do here is each member of the array is separated by a comma. Okay? In this particular array, can anybody tell me what type of value this is here, red, in quotes? This is like a really easy question. It's ridiculous that no one said it yet. I'm going to hang my head in shame now. What kind of value is this? Is it a rhinoceros? A string. I said it was a really easy question. Sometimes I feel like when I ask easy questions, you guys are like, oh, it's too easy. It must be a trick question. No, I'm just asking very easy questions. What about blue? What is this? Oh, I love hearing that. Yeah, string. So is that string. You get clear, not technically a color, but it's my example, and I can do whatever I want. So then next we have numbers, right? And these are just numbers, right? Super simple. You could actually put in other kinds of numbers. Like a number could be negative 22 or 0.5, whatever. These are all we covered types already, so this shouldn't be anything new. Numbers, or you can create an array of booleans, right? True, false, whatever. As long as they're separated by commas, once again, it's okay. And then this is just odd, right? But this is a valid array, right? Oh, by the way, this is so frustrating. I hate these smart quotes. When you type a quote, you have to hit Control Z or Command Z. It's weird, a little Google quote. So this, I'm just going to go through these types. I want you to tell me what the types are. Once again, this should be really easy. What is this? What is that? What is that? Who said string? Out. Just kidding. You're good. Yeah. If it was in quotes, it'd be a string, right? Yeah. Okay, this is a Boolean named after George Bull. Ah, nobody. Yeah. What is this? Number. What is this? That was good. You said it right. You said it. Doesn't count. No, I'm just kidding. Of course it counts. Yeah, this is an array. Is that making sense? An array can have an array inside of an array. In an array. And then further. And then inside of this array, obviously this is a, just say it. You can say it's fine. String. Yeah. Cool. So the point here is that arrays don't have to be the same thing. These are the same, yes, but they don't have to be. You can mix and match and do whatever you want. I can't think in any scenario in real life where you would ever have this array. In fact, I would be horrified to see what was going on that you would have platypus 187 false negative 1 in the array of OMG. But you never know. So, yeah, that's arrays. And can anybody think of why? Does this seem useful? Why would this be useful? Why would this be useful? It's probably useful because at some point, some guy or gal or, genderless individual needed to represent a bunch of different things. Without arrays, you might find yourself red, blue, green, orange, var colors equal, right? But then you're like, what if I want green? And what if I want to add something to this? How do I do it? I have to manipulate a string. It's painful. So arrays give us a much more convenient way to do this, where we can have a collection. Think of it as a variable with other variables inside of it, right? Does that make sense? Is this concept sunk in? Let me just give you 4 seconds. Got it. Okay, cool. I don't know if that works or not, but we'll see. Okay, so let's talk about accessing an array, right? So before I get that, let's grab this colors thing, because, it's pretty. Let's run it, make sure. Okay, cool. So, if we want to access one of these array things, right, we use this notation. This is what we're concerned with here, right? Brackets. Remember how the array was defined using brackets? That's also how you access an element of the array. So, the number inside the brackets, this number is called the index. It's like in a book. You have an index in the back? It's the exact same concept. With an index in a book, that tells you like where to find the page on robots, right? So you look up R in the back, robots, and it says like page 225. So you go to 225. That's how an array works. It's like a book kind of dictionary-esque. It's other languages. And this number will access a different element. So let's just do a quick, really, really, hopefully very easy example. So let's, I want to get the second. I want to get blue. What number item is that? 1. Right. Why is it 1? Why is it not 2? Right. Because these are 0 indexed. Let's go back to that. We start counting at 0, since arrays in JavaScript are 0 indexed. I can't think of any programming language that doesn't have 0 indexed arrays, or like anything not 0 indexed. So yeah, I mean it's not just JavaScript. That's like pretty much every language you ever encounter. If you have an array and you need to index it, it's going to be starting at 0. And the reason is robots. Okay. So 1. So what would like just I'm a robot. What do I type? What do I type? I can't hear you. A bracket. All right. That thing. And I want blue, which is the width number. 1. And then a bracket. Cool. I'm going to run it. Blue. Amazing. We just accessed an element of an array. Just let that sink in. Great. Cool. So what, right? You're all like, so what right now? Isn't that what you're saying in your heads? No? A little bit? So what? Just trying to get a rise here. So let's talk about like looping over an array. So we call this looping or iterating. Iterating. That's a great word. Just say it over again. Iterating. 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 Yeah, it just means to go through every element, right? Same way, like we call it looping over an array, because we have a loop. Remember, this is a basic for loop. You see this all the time in every programming language, right? So let's say we want to like say all of our. Whoa, remember that? Let's say we want to spit out all the names of our colors, right? I don't want to do this. I feel like I should call on somebody to come do this. I think that'd be a lot cooler. Who wants to volunteer? Who wants to volunteer? Shelly, you're up. You're up. You made eye contact. That's the word. That's the cardinal sin. Yeah, come on up. Here's your computer. You are going to. Yeah, come on up. You got it right here. Yeah. Yes. Come to the computer. It's gonna be, yeah. It's perfect height. What's up? Why is it so hard? Can you guys make room so she can come up? Yeah, it's super easy. I'm gonna make sure you look awesome. Like no one will laugh at you. I swear. This is gonna be great. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to loop over the array, right? Mm-hmm. And we want to, let's say all we want to do is just log the color. That's it. Okay? Can you stub out a for loop? So just give me 4, F-O-R, 4.
F-O-R?
Yeah.
4.
Now remember there's parentheses in there. Like inside, no, after the 4. Go back to the week 7. You basically want to just write that line.
Okay.
But you don't want to copy it. You need to write it. And I want to show you one thing too. Soak it in. Wait. Before you write that, just close the parentheses. close it. Yeah, sorry, go back here. I just close the parentheses. When I say close, yeah, that's it. So that's closing the parentheses. Now, just throw 2 of these in here, right? Okay, this is a really smart way to start writing your for loop. Just start like that, right? Super simple. Because a for loop has 3 different parts in it, okay? So you've got your initialization, which is like, this is the number we're going to start with, right? In this case, we're going to create a new variable in the first part. So we got the 3. Yep. And so we're going to create a new variable. We'll call it I, and initialize it to 0. Perfect. Initialize it. Perfect. The terminology is good to get to. Like when you say initialize it to 0, it sounds like more advanced than it really is. It's just I. So anyway, what are you doing? Okay. So the first part is our initialization, right? The second part is the condition. The condition. That means we want to keep looping under what conditions, right? And this condition is we want to keep looping until there's no more things left, right? How do you say until there's no more things left? I don't know. I'll just tell you. Well, that's not fun. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. You getting there? Well, less than. I don't know what that double thing is.
Like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, go back to that. You're not allowed to go back here anymore. So the point here is that also you have a thing at the end here that doesn't make any sense.
What?
Yeah, that. I don't know what that is. Okay, yeah. All right. So we're going to initialize I at 0, and we want to go through all of these things. So we want to keep going to the next item until our number here, 0, 1, 2, basically when it hits 3, we want to stop it, right? When this thing's 3, there's no more things here, so we need to stop looping. The way that we represent that, though, is we say we want to go until I is less than the length of this array, right? Because this array is 3 members long.
I also can type I lower than 3. Right?
You could. You don't do that. Yeah, get rid of colors and just do less than 3. Yeah. Like get rid of the word colors. No, delete. And say 3. Okay. Let's stick with that, right? Super basic. So I is 0. While I is less than 3, right? What do we do? So I starts at 0. We want it to go to 3. What do we have to do to get I to go to every member? I plus plus, which, how do we write that out? I, like what does that mean, I plus plus? Like,
Every time you add 1.
okay, right. It's I is equal to I plus 1. So I is itself plus 1, right? Does that make sense? It's in this step, the third step, is the increment, right? And it's part of the loop, is that we initialize, then we create a case, and then we iterate, right? We have to keep increasing this number or changing it somehow, otherwise we're not going to get different values in our loop. So for here, let's put I equals I plus 1. Bam. I equals I plus 1. And then the shorthand there is you can write that I plus plus. And it means the exact same thing. So is this clear? This is a lot of like jumbled stuff, right? Like I can imagine that this looks really confusing to a lot of people, right? I mean, it looks confusing to me, and I've been looking at it for years and years and years. I mean, you can make it a little less confusing. You can like add a space or a space there, and it's you guys should. I guess the key thing here is just to know what these things are doing, right? Is that we're setting up a looping system. We're going to start at 0. We're going to go until this variable is 3. And then every time we finish a loop, we're going to increment the value of I. We're going to increase it by 1, right? Thank you. Thank you. Everyone, round of applause. See, I told you. Okay, So now we've got our loop stubbed out. Now what do we do? I don't know. Let's say, okay, we know we wanna output the color, right? So let's how do we output stuff? Console, right, console.log. Which we'll get to what all that means someday, maybe. So we need to figure out what to put in here, right? What do we put in here? Let's just see one thing first. What is, we keep defining this variable I, right? Let's see what I actually is, right? Because we haven't even looked at I. What is I? So let's just do this and run it, right? Let me get rid of blue. Let's just run this. Okay. Do we see what happened here? This thing executed 3 times. Right? 3 times. So what happens, you know what we can do here too? We can add a break. I'm going to add a debugger break in here. And what this is going to do is it's going to stop execution in between loops. So let's try this. Okay. Whoa. It's crazy. Awesome. That worked. Okay, cool. Oh, shit. Come on, Pluto. All right, cool. All right. So, run it. It's okay. It'll work this time. Okay. So, the first time we run through, like, I'm going to seriously go through this line by line, okay? So we just understand it. I hope I'm not boring anybody, but okay. So, that happens. We get it. We're just defining an array. This right here, we initialize I to 0. We set our base, our case, like our conditional for when we stop, and then we set what our incrementer is. This happens at the, like, basically at the end of the function. You'll see what I mean, or at the end of the loop, right? So the first thing that happens is we hit this line here, console log I. That happens. And then what debugger does is it just stops, right? It just stops. So right now, what's the value of I? Let's try it. It's 0. It's still 0 because we're right here. Okay? Now, let me cook up a different example here real quick, because I have like a better idea for how I can show you guys this. I'm going to put debugger calls at the beginning and the end of the loop, right? So we're going to seriously look through every step of what this program is doing. Okay. Oh wait. Disregard me. I just really want this to like be clean. All right. Perfect. There we go. All right. So. All right. Okay. Do y'all realize where we are in the program right now? Shelly, where are we in the program right now? Okay. Are we at line 1? No. Debugger stops execution. So we hit this line. We've run through our loop, and before we've done anything, we already just hit this debugger call, right? So we haven't even done anything. So we haven't done anything. Right now, the value of I is 0. And as we'll see, this next line is going to execute, and then it's going to stop again. So let's see what happens. I'm going to play. Okay, 0. So we hit 0, and then we hit the debugger again. So I should still be 0, right? So now I'm going to hit play again, and what do we think is going to happen here? I'll tell you. When I hit play, the next line of the program hits, and it's this, right? And now what happens is JavaScript checks, and it says, hey, are we at 3 yet? If we're at 3, do line 8, even though there isn't one. If it's not 3, if we're less than 3, keep doing this, right? So right now, we know I is 0, so it's going to keep doing this. So let's hit play. God, it's really frustrating. I have to keep coming back to this. We're at this line now, and now what is console? What should this output? 1, right? Yeah. Why? Why is it 1? How did it go from 0 to 1 here? Sort of, yeah, that works. It's really because when you get to this line, this runs right here. I is equal to I, which is 0, plus 1, which is 1. So now I is 1. So when you start back over, you can basically think of this line right here as where this runs. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, sure, for now. So we run 0. Oh my god, that's really annoying. Now we have 1, and we're at the end of it. Keep going. Oh my god, why do I have to keep doing this? Boom. 2. It's just mocking me, you know? There's got to be a better way. I guess there isn't a better way. 0, 1, 2. Wait, where are we right now? Right now, we're right here. Yeah, we're right here. So I is what? 2, right? So what happens right here? What does I become? Yeah, plus plus. So what is I going to be right here after this line? Is it still going to be 2, or is it going to go up to 3? What about when it gets back to the top? What's I? That was kind of like a trick question. When I hits this here, it's going to run, it's going to go I equals I plus 1. It's going to be 3. So, I mean, right now, I is 2. So then it's going to hit this. It's going to be 3. And then what happens? What happens here? It's not even going to hit this line, right? Because 3 is not less than 3. So I'm going to hit play. And then it's done. That was like painful, I know, right? But important to see. Did that make sense? Just nod your heads and say yes. A little bit, right? Kind of. I think the key thing to think is that in your loop, the iterator, probably be helpful if I like space out. The iterator over here gets executed at the end of your loop, right? And then that's where your value changes. So let's get rid of these debugger calls. I really haven't taught you about the debugger yet, so, you know, big deal. We're all smart people. Yeah, there we go. Well, except now we're just logging I. So using this property, the whole point of this exercise was we're trying to log these colors, right? So how do we do that? Who am I going to call up to the class to do this? Who am I going to embarrass? How? You want to take a crack at this? Jared, just come on. It's correct answer. All right. Do you know how to? Okay, I want you to output those 3 things: red, blue, and clear. But I want you to do it in like a programmer way. Like we've seen here, right? Logging out I is just 0, 1, and 2, right? And then we also here. Let me show this. Before we looked at, you can access an array element like this, right? Just with like 0, 1, 2, whatever. So using that knowledge, how might we create an expression here that would spit out the value of the color? What we want to do is we want to say one of the colors, right? So, yeah, feels right. Throw colors in there. Well, I mean, try colors. Yeah. Yeah, except the one thing is colors. That's color. Does that feel right? Wait, how sure are you that this is correct?
I is equals number.
Like, are you positive? Like, what would you bet right now that this is correct?
I don't know.
Not very sure. What? Who else? Does anyone want to take a bet here? Who thinks he's right? Don't know? Why not? Well, run it and see. Bam! You nailed it. Congratulations. You can sit down now. Okay. What do we do? Come on, round of applause here. Yes. So is that's still kind of confusing? A little bit? How so? Any question? Do you have a question specific?
I get it.
Or anything to clear up? I would love to clear it up. I mean, it all hinges around, we access a member of an array using this notation. And the key here is that you don't have to use 0, 1, 2. You can use a variable as well for this. So what we're doing is we're just using our variable to act as the index for our array, right? I mean, if I were to do this, what would happen? What's that? Yeah, it'll just say red how many times? 3. You say 3. What do you think? What? Think out loud.
No, wait, I'm just.
Okay. Don't think out loud. Whatever.
No, it's. I'm not sure what my brain is.
It's okay. Neither am I. I think we're all a little unsure. Okay. Let's run it. It looks like it only ran 1 time, but that's just because the log will, like, if you do the same thing, it just does it in a multiple. So yeah, it ran red 3 times, which makes sense. Because it's just, colors 0 is just that. We're basically saying, I want the 0th element of the array colors. Or like, I want the first element, right? If I want the first element, it's going to output blue 3 times. And that's that. Yeah. That's looping over an array. So obviously there's like other stuff you could do when you loop, right? Like we don't just spit out values of words, right? So you might have a data set that's not just 3 things. You might have a data set that's like 10,000 items, right? And you have to like loop over that 10,000 things and do something, right? Like you can do that pretty quickly. That's where programming languages are cool. Is that 3 things? Yeah, whatever. Like you could do that by hand. Like if you needed to spit out these, you could write that by hand. But when you have a list of like 1,000 data points, and you need to do something to all of them, this is where this is really cool. Or let's say it might even be in like you have like a 3D model, and you have the list of all the vertices, right? If you want to like transform those vertices to maybe like move them in a direction, you could do that using loop. There's a lot of like practical things you can do. Yeah, I'm sure we can all think of something. Okay, moving on. Where were we? Looping. Okay. Yeah, what's with the dot? We've talked about the dot, right? Like we saw that. Oh wait, you know what? Sorry, we can't go to the dot yet. I forgot one thing. This magic number here, 3. We put 3 in here because there's 3 things here, but like now that sucks because what if we want to add in maroon? What do? We have to make it 4. That is so pain. Ugh. And then what if I had another thing? Ugh, I gotta go. I gotta go. I can't even do it. I won't do it. I refuse to do it. What? Like, how do we make this easier? That's what I'm getting at. And the thing is, I'm going to introduce a property here. So all arrays have a really handy property. We can find it here. I feel like every time I try to show you guys how easy it is to look up information, I always fail miserably. But that's just, part of winging it sometimes. All right, so arrays. Yeah, okay. There's this thing, length property, right? The length property of an array returns the length of an array, the number of array elements. Pretty handy, right? Fruits is this. Fruits.length would return 4, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 things. Super handy. So using that in this example, instead of 4, how can we make this more reusable, more dynamic? Colors? One of my favorite 80s gangster movies of all time. Ice-T. What else is that? I forget. Colors what? Colors.length. Right. Yeah. Colors.length. I mean, the length property. So yeah, that's all we do. That's it. That should work. Now let's do this. Oh, and then also we have a 1 in here. We're going to put this back to the I so that we're looping over all of them. Bam. Red, blue, clear, maroon, blue. Oh, I had blue twice, huh? Whatever. You can do that here. It's fine. Is that cool? We're tracking? All right. I'm not going to get into there's other things you can do with arrays. Like we have, you know what? I'll just show you, but I won't get into them. How about that? So, oh wait. Red, blue, clear. Oh, whoopsie. Whoopsie. Whoa. What am I doing wrong here? Oh. Shit. Fail, fail, fail. Go backwards. Yeah, skip that. Wait, why didn't that work? Wait, hold on. Please, ask away.
In the color outline, the color is a variable, so you change that color to say like here's animal instead of color to the animal outline.
Yeah, it's every array, no matter what array. If you define a variable like with this syntax, it'll do that every time. Yeah, you don't have to do anything either. It's so weird. Yeah, okay. Wait, why did that not work? Push. What am I doing wrong? What's going on here? Why am I being an idiot? Oh, okay. Yeah. That was weird. For some reason it wasn't working. Yeah, push. Oh, I know why it wasn't working, because I'm an idiot. Oh. Whatever. Push. If you do this to any array, once again, it'll add an element to the end of the array. Kind of cool. You can see what happens. We push black onto the end. The reason it wasn't working before is because I was trying to show you pop. Pop, all it does is it takes the last element off the array and then returns it. So you can see that our blue is gone when we do this. Oopsie. Yeah. Neat. So anyway, the point there too is that there are a lot of array functions that you can look up, and they're all available for you online. JS array reference. Once again, just JFGI. Just Google it. Yeah, here's all the methods, right? You can push stuff, pop stuff, fill, bin, what? Somebody's not even doing anything. Unshift? Why is that a name of something? Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. Some of it we use, some of it we don't use, but we'll get to the more advanced stuff as we need it. For now, the point is that you can do stuff to arrays once you have them. They're a useful data structure. So we'll leave it at that. Where was I? Okay. And back to, what's with the dot? All right. So the dot is referring to a property, right? What's a property, right? Property, it's like a property of matter, or like a property of you. Like I have like an age, right? So it would be like Darius.age equals 35, right? That's how I would represent myself. So you've also seen this, right? Console.log. Log is a property of console, but it's also a function, and we can execute it like that. So that's what these things are that we've been seeing. Like the length property of an array, the log property of console. So when you see that, that's what that is. Was anyone confused about that at all? Probably not. Maybe curious slightly? I'll accept that. Okay, let's get on to objects, because that'll make more sense with the whole dot thing. So an object, despite being like super generic word for something, right? Object, what's an object? It's anything. An object is just a data type, stores values associated with keys. Huh? It's kind of like an array, a little bit. Like, you know how an array you have like elements in order, right? An object is kind of the same thing, except you can name your elements. Right? You can name your like the members of the object, right? So this is an example of an object that would represent me. Me equals, I have my first name, Darius, last name, favorite drink, water. These are not enclosed with quotes, these first two, because they're valid variable names. If you want to have like a space or something else in an object key, you have to put it in quotes, like that. We don't add a trailing comma here. It breaks in some situations, so don't do it. But otherwise, they're always in commas. And like an object can be written, it can be on one line even. Like that's valid. That's valid. You know, it's just. Oh my God! I just realized something. I totally like. Oh God, this is completely wrong. Copy and paste. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, that was what I meant. Really not that different. You will make the same mistake too. So, sorry. And once again, back to the first name and last name and favorite drink are all properties, right? Let's look at this in action, because this is like really kind of obtuse. But once again, this is like one of those things we have to learn before we can do anything interesting. All right, so if I want to output my first name here, what do? First name is a property of me as an object. First, let's just do me. Let's output me. This is how me comes out. It's an object. It says object, right? First name, Darius. Last name, Daphne. Favorite drink, water. So how would I get my first name? What? What? Anybody? How would I get my first name? It's the first name is a property of the object. We just learned about how to access properties. Why? As recently as this slide right here. Myron.length. Sounds like it's worth trying. So me dot, you said first name, right? Let's try it out. Bam, that worked. It's cool. What about this one? Favorite drink. That's a little trickier. Because, for instance, we can't do that, right? It's got a space in it. Like, that's going to throw an error. I can tell you right now. Yeah. So what can we do? What can we do? Well, there's an alternate syntax to doing this dot thing with the properties. And it is like this. Make sense? It's kind of like the array. Let's try it out. Water. So like we have an like this is like kind of a weird array way of getting to this, right? So if we wanted to do the favorite drink here, 2, and that's going to be water. So you can kind of see them side by side, right? How they work. Array. You can also do objects like that too. And once again, the only time you have to use this syntax with an object is when the key. Remember, this is key value, key value, key value. If the key is not like, if it's not a valid variable name, you have to use the brackets. Sometimes it's safe to always use this notation, just because it's guaranteed to work. Another cool thing about this is that you could this evaluates as an expression. So if you have like an operator in here, it'll do something. Let me explain what that means with an example. So whoa. Right? What the hell is that? But it did exactly what I wanted to do. So the point here, I'm defining a thing, right? My favorite thing, right? In this case, thing is a drink. It's just a string. So then what happens here is I'm saying me. You remember what this does here? We're just adding 2 strings together. So this is going to evaluate to favorite drink, right? And then me, favorite drink, is water. So it's going to log out water. Make sense? Kind of, sort of. It's I guess it's helpful to think or to kind of like use kind of an order of operations. Like, you know how when you do like algebra or whatever, you do the stuff in the parentheses first. I mean, with most programs like this, you'll kind of work inside out. Like, if you evaluate expressions and then proceed outward. Like, we're not logging all of this. You kind of look at it from the inside and then go out. And it makes more sense to kind of like shift the way you're looking at it. Does that help at all? Vaguely? Confused? Super confused? Slightly confused. Slightly confused? Question? I love questions. You don't have to ask. All right. That's kind of like a weird example. That was just like prove a point. I think the real important part there is just that keys can really be whatever they want, as long as they're in strings. Okay. Objects. Yeah, that's another example. Yeah, so this is actually an interesting thing here. So let me work that example up. We've been seeing this console, right? Console log. But like I just said that dot notation is interchangeable with that bracket notation too, right? So you can actually just write it out like that. Console, oops. Console log, right? Just like that. Now you notice how like this part stayed the same, right? That all stayed the same. The only thing I did is I swapped out this for what's in the brackets. And these two are it's the exact same thing. Hi. Okay. Oh wow, or you could go like Snow White and make it like hi ho. Anyway, so that should make sense. So by now you have to be thinking like, why are we learning? Like, why are we learning this? What does this possibly do? Right? So I'm going to attempt to tie this together somehow. Okay, tie it together. What happens is when you like JavaScript by itself doesn't really know, like it's just a programming language. It doesn't know about your page or the stuff on your page, right? But what happens is when you go to any web page in a browser, your browser creates two objects, right? We just learned what objects are, right? Objects are just like things that contain other things. These two super important objects are window and document. Window represents like basically the whole open browser window, right? That object has everything we see and don't see on a web page. Feel free to look this up for more information. I think the one like super easy thing to look at. Let me just go to the course website. Sometimes when I just need a blank website. That's embarrassing. When I fire up, it's just like it's bullshit. It's like CDN stuff. Anyway, when I let's just type window. You can see it's already auto-completing, right? Window. Bam. What? No, there's more. Don't worry. So we're going to go and expand it. What? There's a lot of shit in there. Now, one thing to help you here is, you see how these are kind of grayed out? And then these are colored, right? Gray, color. The stuff in color is really the stuff you want to pay attention to. Everything else is kind of like, we use these things, but not as much. So let's just keep going down here. So much stuff. You're going to have to learn what all this stuff means at some point. All of it. Just kidding. Hey, look, remember that? Remember Nan? There it is. That exists. I didn't make that up. Wow, so much stuff. I'm trying to like get to some. There we go. Okay. Hey, look, there's console. Remember console? Our old friend. Crypto. Anything interesting here? Oh, inner height. Inner height is like the distance from here to way up here. And then inner width is, as you could probably guess, the distance from here to the end of the thing. So there's a lot of like little properties in here, right? Window. Length is 6. Why do you think, why would the length of, what does that mean? We just learned about the length property, right? Why would the length of window be 6? What does that mean? Pretty sure it's because I didn't log it. Pretty sure it's because it's 6 characters long. Right? And you can actually do this. You can get the length not just of an array, but you can get it of a string too, which is kind of neat. I don't know why you would need that, but it might be useful to you at some point. So yeah, there's other stuff here. Outer height and outer width. These are different because outer height and outer width take into account like this is part of the outer height, whereas this is part of the inner height. So like a lot of times if you're trying to move something around the screen, you have to know how big the screen is. So you access that through window dot inner height or window dot inner width, which are different properties. Navigator holds like information about your browser. So like anytime you go to any web page, you're sending this information. Like right now, Mozilla Netscape, which I don't know why it still says Netscape since it's 2014. Here's all this stuff about my computer, HTML like Gecko, Chrome. It's got Safari in there too. It's kind of weird. That's all in the navigator. It's just all stuff about the program you're using to navigate with. A bunch of other stuff. Screen top is because I'm like 20. I must have been scrolled down when I saw this. It tells you like how far you are scrolled off from the top. So yeah, there's just like a bunch of information here about the actual window itself, right? And this, once again, this is a JavaScript object, right? This is JavaScript. This isn't like HTML, it's pure JavaScript. Similarly, there is a document object. And this is like, I know it took a long time to get here, but like, this is kind of like the heart of what we're really learning about right here. This is it. This is it. Just soak it in. All right, that's good. The document object, also called the document object model, or the DOM. So, thank God, I can just say the DOM from now on, right? The DOM. Like I've been saying, like HTML, or your web page, or the HTML page. What I really wanted to say this whole time is the DOM, because that's what we call it. We being web developers. The DOM is what represents that tree-like structure, right? Where you've got like a body tag, and the body tag has a div, which has a section, which has an H1, which da-da-da-da. Like there's this whole tree-like, hierarchical structure. So basically what happens is when you get to a web page, JavaScript creates a window object and a document object, and it allows you to interact with the HTML using this API, which I haven't defined yet, so I probably shouldn't have said that word. But using these objects. Like these objects let you manipulate the HTML on a page, which is like way cooler than printing out colors, right? I think. Another thing is that there's also an element object, and this represents just an HTML element, right? Elements can have children the same way that an HTML tag can have children. Remember we talked about siblings, children, parent relationships? So element object, right? Now I think it is pretty important to actually look into what these things are. Window, I'm less concerned with. The window object is cool for like getting the width of the screen or getting the location and stuff like that. Like when I say location, this is actually kind of neat. Like it'll tell you, all this stuff about where you are. So it's like if you have like actually it's better when you have like a real, what can I open that's not like totally embarrassing? This thing, right? Or this. I'm going to do a window.location. That's how they say it in Caribbean. Alright, bam. What? So you can see, like, the host is docs.google.com, and then there's, like, the path name is /a/, which is everything from there on. So this gets used quite a bit, but I'd say other than that, and it's like the width of the screen, the window object, super important, but we don't interact with it that much. What we do interact with a lot is, as I said, the DOM. So let's just take a quick look into some of the properties on this thing. I think some of the key ones are, properties and methods. Create element. So up until now, we've created HTML like by typing it, right? Like this, hands. But you can also create HTML with JavaScript. Trip off that. And like that really is the basis of how like anything cool that you see on the internet happens. It's like JavaScript manipulating HTML, right? So the whole purpose for learning anything to do with JavaScript is just so we can make it move HTML. We want the HTML to like do stuff and like move places, animate and whatnot, and we can only do that using the DOM. So like grossly behind schedule right now. Let me just run through a few DOM things. So there's, well, I guess selectors. Selectors, sure. We'll do selectors. So we know what document is, right? Document is like, think of it as the whole HTML of your page, right? And now get elements by tag name, get elements by class name, get element by ID, query selector all. These are very verbose names, and let me just preface this by saying, like, we're gonna learn some of this stuff. Obviously, not in 12 minutes. Like we're gonna learn some of this stuff. This class ends at 8:20, not 8:30, right? I should probably know this. I don't know why I'm at. I feel like I shouldn't have to ask that now, but whatever. We'll get into it later. Like, we're gonna learn this stuff. Maybe not now, but in the future. I mean, I wanted to today, but the thing is, we're gonna learn it, and then we're gonna quickly never use it again, probably, because we're gonna use tools that help us to not have to do this. I know it sucks to learn things that you don't need to learn necessarily, but it's like, if you understand how these things work, then later when we're using like jQuery or D3 or whatever, you'll have a better understanding of what's going on. So, yeah. And like, honestly, I still use these sometimes, even though I have tools and frameworks that abstract it away, because this is the most performant stuff. Like, this, performance-wise, you can't beat this, really. Let me just jump right into some examples. So, I'm going to use the course website because it's fairly fleshed out nowadays. Are you guys familiar with the structure of this website at all? We have a container. Our container has a header. Then there's a main section. The main section has a series of articles, right? You guys tracking here? Should make a lot of sense. Each article has a heading, sometimes a paragraph, and an iframe inside of it, right? Straightforward. All right, so let's say we wanted to get an array or a list, right, of all of the sections on this website, right? What we would do is, I copied and pasted this thing. We have get elements by tag name. Oh, shit. Do I have to capitalize this? What am I doing wrong here? That's really bizarre. Oh, sorry. There are no sections. We have articles. I'm sorry. Wasn't paying attention to my own website. Article. Bam. And you can see that we have, we have like an array, right? Array. Now, technically, I don't get it. Technically, this isn't an array, even though it looks like one, but we can treat it like an array, right? So if I want to get a list of all these things, so I want to get all the elements with the tag name article, and I'm going to put all of them into a variable called articles, right? Let's do that. Great, cool. Now I'm going to spit out articles. Okay. Now, since this is like an array, we can like do stuff to it, right? Like, what's our one array property that we know? What's that? Yeah, length. We know length, right? Let's try it. So, articles dot length 6. There are 6 articles on this page, which makes sense, right? Because there's only 6 weeks. So that's how basically all of these work. So you can get things by tag name. You can get them by class name. You remember classes, right? Notice how it's get elements, and then it's just element singular, right? That's because there should only be one thing on a page with a given ID, right? If you give something the ID of like wrapper or header or whatever, you can't reuse it on that page. You can use it on another page, but not that page. So that's why get element by ID is just singular. I mean, we can try that one out too. So what has an ID here? Well, this could be. I don't know. I have no idea. Oh wait, look. I have one. I have one thing with an ID, right? Okay, so we can try it out. We can do. All right. Clear document.getElementById. By ID. What was it again? Main. I actually forgot. Do that. It's like stressful to me when it says undefined right there. I'm like, what do you mean it's undefined? Oh, it's just because I haven't said what it is yet. Yeah, but main. And all it does is just give you a reference to this. Now, if you look here in this thing, it kind of gives you some hints as to other stuff you can see, right? So if you do main and just dot, I didn't do anything. I just hit main dot. You can kind of like see other stuff here, like get attribute. I mean, we know that this is called an attribute. So like, we could in theory just be like, hey, that should work, right? And it does. I just got an attribute. I could say like main dot. What else? What else? This is like important to kind of just like play around with this stuff, right? Main. I don't know. First child. What's that? Give me your first child, main. It probably should be this, right? So let's try that out. Interesting. Why is that? It said text. That's really odd. Whoa. So crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I do not know why main first child is. That's so bizarre. Oh, wow, that's so weird. It's because it's reading the this. You know what that is? It's like when you hit enter. Yeah, it's reading the line break as the. It's reading the line break. I know, right? It's just ridiculous. It's reading that thing. I'm sure there's a reason why. I don't know right now, but whatever. You get the point. So that's like, these are the, what was I talking about? Selecting classes, or selecting methods. So then we have manipulating methods. These are pretty cool. These all like kind of require practice. I'm gonna go through a couple of these right now super quickly. I think I already have an example pulled up. Here's one. Okay. So I called this P once again. Sorry, probably bad idea. I'm allowed to do it. You're not. We can call it paragraph. If that's better? Refactoring on the fly. Okay. So wait, let me. Yeah. Notice I don't have any HTML in here, right? But yet I've outputted clearly HTML. So it's because I have a paragraph. I say document, create element P, right? Now you can create an element of any kind, right? This could be it could be a strong tag, right? Which is like a bold. And in that case, it's going to be bolded, right? Or like we could do M or really anything. So I create that element, and then it's kind of weird. This element is not on the page yet. That's really frustrating. Why would it do that? It did HTML commenting. So look, where'd it go? When you run create element, it doesn't create the element in the DOM. Oh, It doesn't create in the DOM. It creates it in like memory, right? So it's not visible yet. You have to actually append it to the page, or prepend it, or whatever. You have to attach it to the page somehow. It's what's called a fragment at that point. So, I mean, a blank M tag is not very interesting. So what we do next is create a text node. Paragraph, blah, text, document, create text node. I'm pretty sure these are the only two like creation methods that there are on document. So it's pretty simple. You either create an element or you create text inside of that element. And then here's where, okay, this might have some tricky elements to it. Paragraph is now an element object, right? We have basically three objects: window, document, and element. And each object has properties. Some of those properties are functions. In this case, the append child property, which is a method, right, of paragraph, is what we're executing, and we're passing into it the text node that we just created. Soak that in for a second. What? I mean, if you can imagine how it's working in your head, then it'll probably make it a lot easier. So we have like a p tag, or in this case, shit, why did I do that? Let's just call it, go back to p, it makes more sense. We have created a p tag somewhere in memory, and then we've created a text node. Notice that we created both of these just like somewhere in the document, right? So they're just like floating around in our document. They're not attached to anything. So the first thing we do is we take our text node and we attach it to the paragraph node. So now we have this paragraph, right, with some text inside of it that says hello. But it's still floating. It's not anywhere yet. The way you actually get something into the DOM is by using these, let's see, there's a append child, replace child, remove child. There's also, I think, a prepend child. There's a few of these, and they're in the documentation. This one you use the most, I'd say. Append and replace you use the most. And so, where was I? Where was I? Right. So then the next thing we do is append the whole thing to the body. Now, if this looks kind of weird, like, wait, where did that come from? This is kind of like a special construct, document.body. It's just like shorthand. Like instead of doing document.getElements by tag name, body, and then taking the 0th item in the array, you can just do document.body. I mean, yeah, another way. And this should hopefully make sense why this works. If it doesn't, it's like there's only one body tag, right? So we can just say, give me the, like an array, take the 0 element, that's the first one. So that's equivalent. So you can see why you wouldn't want to do this and why it's just a hell of a lot easier to just type just like that. Yeah. And like this, with this time, this is kind of like that scene in 2001 where like the apes like smash the bone and they realize like tools, like we actually have tools we can use. This is kind of that moment. It may not feel like it right now, but it's a pretty powerful thing. Like this is our first time where we've actually manipulated HTML with JavaScript. It's not interesting at all. It just says hello, but it's something, right? And so the hope is that next time we can get a little further. Okay, here, let me jump to the assignment now. Wait. Let's just pretend, the class ends at 8:30, right? It's 8:30 or 8:20. No one gives a shit, right? If you have to leave feel free. Okay, I'm just gonna go. Thank you. Show. Keep me on point. This is really good. Like, just keep going. All right. So this assignment is I don't think any of you are going to be able to fully complete it. Well, it's about time, right? Like all these easy assignments, like bang them out like one day. It's ambitious. Also, we haven't talked about version control yet. Has anybody here used version control? Do you even know what it means? Do you know what GitHub is? GitHub? Like the coolest company on the internet? No? Okay, cool. That's fine. So I want you to pull the, okay, so basically the assignment is, I want you to take the before.html file and make it look like the after.html file using only JavaScript and the things from this lesson. Like, once again, you don't know what you're doing yet, but like this is a great time to figure it out. I'm around whenever for questions too, like ask me questions. I feel like the only time I get questions are like Sunday night. And that's cool, but if you want to ask them before that too, that's also cool. So yeah, here let me run through the assignment a little bit. So I'm gonna host all the assignments on GitHub. It's just easier for me, and you too. The way you get all this project code, you can. I mean, it's free. Anybody in the world can see it. So the way you get to it though, like you can see, here's the before file. Add stuff to me. And here's the after file. Oh, you guys are going to hate me. Here's the after file. It's not that big. It's not that big. It's not that big. And here's what we're building. We're building... Oh, well, let me just show you. So you can download the zip file of the whole project. If you are a badass, you would just clone the repo. But no one here's ready for that. Or you can... don't bother with that. We will learn about this. Probably in like 2 weeks or so. So you can just download the zip. Desktop. Sorry if I just showed somebody's stuff, whatever. Save. Alright, let's open this up real quick. Just humor me. Alright. Dude, I hear you guys talking about me. Alright, so after. This is basically what we're building. Alright? This is like, as far as like website, my first app, this is like quintessential, right? I'm not breaking any new ground here because there's no point in doing so. We're going to eventually make this thing actually work, but for now, I just want this layout, right? So this is an HTML file. I've painstakingly hand created it. It's really not that complicated. So all you're going to have to do is create it. I think it'd be really smart to create these in a loop rather than doing them by hand, because we just learned about loops. I can see where you're like, do I really have to do all this class stuff? I mean, do as much as you can, I think, would be the assignment here. I would love to see somebody actually complete this. We'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna have faith. I'm sure that we're gonna need you're gonna need like serious help. But it's okay. Yeah. You know what? Yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering. I feel like because we didn't get through really as much as I would have liked to. I feel like this is too hard for you guys. I'll put up some hints like tomorrow and the next day. How about that? So start on it. I think I know where you're gonna fail, so I will try to. I'll add in some hints so that you don't fail miserably. In the meantime, shower me with questions. Anytime you want, something not included. And I guess that's it. Yeah. Class dismissed. I love saying that. And if anybody has any questions for me, once again, right here, ddaftterry@sva.edu. Hit me up. Or don't.